Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Congress enacted Biggert-Waters Flood Insurance Program Reform Act to make the National Flood Insurance Program more financially sound and to accurately reflect the true cost of flood insurance. Now, as part of the plan to achieve those goals, right now some senators want to dramatically increase the number of private policies. And I'm not against private sector insurance, but there would be real costs to simply turning over the federal program to the private sector. The NFIP has a four-pronged comprehensive flood risk reduction program that's comprised of insurance, flood mapping, flood plain management, and flood mitigation. And these four missions, each of them is critical to reducing the impact of dangerous floods. And each is funded, at least in part, by user fees and surcharges added to the federal premium. So private insurance companies benefit from those services, but private flood insurance doesn't contribute to any of these other critical missions. As the number of private policies grow, it is critical that the private sector contributes its fair share to the flood management functions of NFIP. So, Mr. Ellis, let me just start with you. You've previously testified before Congress stating that, and I'm going to quote you here, the primarily private sector program is where flood insurance is heading. But Congress should be intentional about this development and ensure the mitigation benefits achieved by NFIP are retained and funds for mapping maintained. Do you believe that private primary policy should include NFIP equivalency fees and surcharges to ensure that the private sector is sharing the national costs of flood mapping and floodplain management?
Taxpayers for Common Sense certainly believes that. Yes, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. Heck, do you agree?
Senator, I agree completely. If we consider that mapping and mitigation are the long-term solutions for all of America, then all of America should be supporting these initiatives.
All right. And Mr. Larson, do you agree?
Yeah, the private sector should be on a level playing field and pay the policy fee.
So either everybody pays the fee or nobody pays the fee, right?
But Senator Warren, one thing I would flag is that should be specifically delineated so that people know. So that's one of the problems with the flood insurance program now is that fee has been kind of hidden into the overall rate rather than actually being explicit.
I'm all for transparency with consumers so they know what they're paying for, but that those who buy private insurance and those who buy public insurance should be paying the same set of fees to get us forward in the future. Okay, good. I think this is just really important because shifting to private insurance is not going to work if private insurance doesn't contribute the fees we need to flood mapping and floodplain management and flood mitigation. So I want to ask another question, if I can, in the time I have left. As we've heard, mitigation is a vital part of NFIP's flood resilient efforts. And in fact, the GAO recently reported that it estimated that for every dollar spent on mitigation, losses were reduced by an average of about $4. Now, Congress currently subsidizes NFIP rates to make flood insurance more affordable, but mitigation loans could be another tool to lower the cost of flood insurance. A Wharton University study that you may be familiar with has shown that low-interest loans to elevate or flood-proof structures in high-risk areas could lower flood insurance premiums for many homeowners and also decrease the government's subsidization assistance. So, Mr. Larson, when it's economically appropriate, do you believe that offering mitigation loans to elevate flood-proof or flood-proof high-risk homes can be an effective way for NFIP to minimize flood risk and damage for homeowners?
Absolutely. Subsidizing mitigation rather than subsidizing insurance is the direction we want to go. And in fact, the other side of that coin is those repeat losses. Right now, you know, the NFIP has no ability to ultimately say no matter whether you've had claims 5 times the value of your structure. Maybe that's something that should be considered too.
Mm-hmm. But I think this point about mitigation is kind of opening a new lens that we should be looking at this. You know, the government typically offers low-interest SBA loans to help homeowners rebuild after a disaster has damaged their homes. I think it'd be a smart idea for the government to do more to help homeowners prevent damage by making their homes more resilient before damage strikes. Mr. Heck, you wanted to add on that?
I just want to say, Senator, that we visualize this about getting on the left side of the disaster curve. We tend to always operate in the acute moment and then the aftermath. We need to pull back to the left side, and everybody's going to win, the government, the taxpayer, the citizen.
Yeah, that sounds like a much more cost-effective way to deal with this problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.